So in today's video, I'm going to be talking all about how I got into medicine, because I genuinely had like the most barbaric, most outrageous, most outlandish journey into getting into med than anyone has ever had before. Okay, so there's no facts to prove that, but
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
To put it simply, I got 4 rejections, and then I ended up working some magic and ended up getting an offer, one from King's College London and one from the University of Leicester. So I just thought it'd be really good to put a video out there, because a lot of the ones that I saw when I was like applying were like, I got all 4 offers, and honestly it doesn't look like that for everyone. This video will help you, like, if you are trying to get those 4 offers. I'm gonna go through everything from entry requirements to work experience to personal statements to UCAT to interviews to offers to rejections to clearing to literally everything that there is to cover in medicine. Also, I'll tell you which uni I picked at the end and why I picked it, because yeah, there's a lot of debate around which uni I picked. Medicine is a really unique course because you can't just wake up one morning in December of year 13 and decide that that's what you're going to apply for. Like, medicine is such a long process because there's so many like preliminary things you need to do before you even get to the application. So I'm going to be starting from like the beginning, from like what you need to start doing halfway through year 12. I feel like halfway through year 12 is where you start your medicine journey. So for me, I was signed on to this course called Medic Mentor, and they were really helpful. They are a non-profit organisation and they help you with your application process, and they have summer schools and societies and a lot of coaches that help you, and they were honestly amazing. They helped me through every step of my application. Obviously this isn't sponsored, but yeah, they really were really helpful. The only thing with Medic Mentor is that they are like quite expensive. Like, the only thing that you get for free is, I think you get the virtual medical society for free and the virtual work experience for free, but most of the things that I got, I only got because I paid for their summer schools, and the summer school is expensive. It was like £1,000 or something. So I do really recommend joining some sort of coaching thing like this, because they do really help you along the way. But again, YouTube is free, so you can use YouTube. And also, so because of how much having like a coach helped me, I really wanted to be able to like offer the same thing to people. So all of these services that are listed here, I'll be helping anyone applying to medical school with them. So make sure you message me on Instagram to find out more information about that. I'll be offering like free stuff, but also some stuff that are paid as well, but it'll be really cheap because I am not a large non-profit organisation. My first like tip or first thing that I did was I signed on to a virtual medical society / virtual work experience. So if your school has a medical society, join it. If your school has anything related to medics, join it. A biomed society, join it. I mean, I didn't join my school's biomed society, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Any society, join it, because it will really help you. You'll be with like-minded people who are also on their journey, and a lot of my close friends in school just ended up being people applying to med anyway. Like that wasn't intentional, but it just did, and it was so cute because along the journey applying to med, like, we would always be there to support each other. So if you do have access to a society, join it, but if not, there are so many ones that are for free online. So many like Instagram accounts. I'll put some of my fave Instagram accounts that post like tips and stuff and have group chats up here. Join them. That is my first tip. My second thing is work experience. This is why I said that you kind of need to decide that you want to do medicine by like halfway through year 12, because that's when you need to start looking for your work experiences. The virtual work experience that I did, they would post like a new like course every month, so that's why you need like a few months to do it if you're doing a virtual one, just to give yourself time really to fully reflect on it, because everything about medicine is about reflection. It doesn't matter how many work experiences you did, how many roles you had in school, literally none of it matters if you don't reflect on what you have done. For me personally, I was fortunate enough to get a work experience at my local hospital, and I was working in the obs and gynae department shadowing a consultant doctor, so that was really good because I learned so much. But like I just said, it doesn't matter what you do in your work experience, whether you are like literally just volunteering at the front desk of a hospital or just volunteering at a care home. That's a tip, that's a random tip. They love volunteering more than work experience. Probably try and get yourself some volunteering, but if you can't, work experience works just as well. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as in your personal statement or in your interviews you can talk about it, talk about what you learned from it, what went wrong, what was good, things like that. It's all about reflection, not about what you actually did. Also, extracurriculars. Med schools love to see that you are someone who does stuff. It doesn't really matter what it is, but they just want to see that you have the skills that are required to be a doctor. So those are things like teamwork, leadership, communication, having basic empathy, things like that. So if you have things in your back pocket that can show that you have those skills, that can demonstrate that you have those skills. They love that. So for me, I did like rugby, I did dance, I did NCS, National Citizen Service. I did a bunch of things that were like, that I could talk about in my interview or in my personal statement. So if you're in year 11 right now watching this, first of all, well done. Because I was not watching these videos in year 11. Start looking for like extracurriculars that you can start doing now. Or if you already know kind of what uni you want to go to, you can start looking for the things that they say makes a good doctor. So I know for Leicester, they speak a lot about communication and teamwork. Even for King's, they speak a lot about communication, teamwork. It's the same for all of them. So for me, in year 12, that's when I started rugby. And then in the middle of year 12, I applied for like the prefect roles in my school. And then I ended up getting vice school captain. Again, med schools don't care. They don't care that you were head girl. They don't care that you've been doing brownies since you were 7. They don't care that you saved a bunch of baby ducks one time when you were 13. Like, they literally don't care. They only care about what you learned from your experiences. So you could be an extra in your school play, you could have no lines, you might even be like the person who turns the lights on and off in the school play. As long as you can talk about the people that you met whilst you were doing it, how you worked as a team, and you took cues from the director, and you were good at like listening to what they said and then relating that to how our doctors have to listen to this, and this, then you're good. You're good to go. You're set. You're done. That's all you need. Those are all of the like preliminary things before UCAT, I think. So to summarize, join a society, and if you can't join one, start one. If you can, ask your teachers. Me and my friends, we asked our teacher to start a society. We actually ended up not starting it, but we did ask, and she did give us permission. Find yourself some work experience or some volunteering, and find some extracurricular activities to do. That might sound like a lot, and I don't want to stress anyone out or scare anyone. You don't really need to do that much. You could have one thing that you do outside of school, literally one hobby. So the next thing that you have to do is your UCAT. So I'm not going to talk too much about UCAT now because I want to make an entirely different video talking about the UCAT in a lot of detail. So basically the UCAT is this entrance exam that all medical students or medical applicants have to do in order to get into medicine. Some unis use it more than other unis do, in terms of like, some of them will care more about your grades or your personal statement and your skills, and some of them will literally only purely look at your UCAT, and that's how they'll decide who they invite to interview. So it is a very important exam. Again, not to stress anyone out. So I started revising for my UCAT in July, and then I took it at the end of September. I took it September 20th. I don't really remember when I started revising for it, but I started revising for it after school had ended. So as soon as the summer holiday started, I started doing like a bit of UCAT prep every day. The reason why I left it there was because we had year 12 mocks. So year 12 mocks are probably more important than your year 13 mocks for med students because of early application. So I know for my school, we did our year 13 mocks in October, but our results didn't come out until after we'd already sent off our applications. So our grades, our predicted grades, were purely based on our year 12 mocks. So I put a lot of focus and a lot of effort into those instead of like UCAT. Some people started preparing for UCAT in like April. It couldn't have been me. So you really need to like prioritize things for yourself. But I do think starting UCAT later and then doing the exam later is better, because you have the entire summer to revise for your UCAT. So I'd recommend doing that. And the two websites that I used to learn or revise for UCAT were MedEntry and Medify. Again, these are things that I paid for. I got MedEntry with Medic Mentor, who I was with, because I joined their summer school. So when you pay for the summer school, it includes a bunch of other things as well. I loved MedEntry. Like, it was really good. Like, it gave you a bunch of tips, tricks, a lot of different practices that you could do. MedEntry was great. Medify I only used for like my last 2 weeks of learning, like right before my UCAT, because my MedEntry subscription had expired. But the Medify one is also really good. So you could use any of those. But again, they are paid subscriptions. So if you do want a free alternative, then you have the UCAT website themselves. They have practice tests and practice questions, but you can't really keep track of what you're learning if you're using the UCAT website. There's also a bunch of UCAT books. Like I made my mum buy this one, like 1,000 UCAT questions or something like that. I never used that book once, and I don't really recommend using books either, because the real exam is a computer exam. So it's not really the same as writing in a book. And I don't know, like obviously you are practicing the questions, but it's just not the same. It's not the vibe. There is also the BMAT exam, and the BMAT is similar to UCAT, but only certain unis use BMAT. And me personally, I just knew that I wasn't applying to any BMAT unis. Like they were all mainly London unis, and I didn't want to go to uni in London because I'm from London, so I didn't bother doing the BMAT. But if you're watching this, I really do recommend that you do the BMAT, because just in case, like for example, if you flop your BMAT, then you have your UCAT. If you flop your UCAT, then you have your BMAT. Or if you change your mind and now you do want to go to a certain uni, then you have that there. Like having the BMAT as like a backup option is, I really recommend it. So in my UCAT I got 2620 and SJT band 2, and I was distraught because I had never ever gotten an SJT band 2 in any practice I'd ever done. I always got band 1 because I feel like out of everything, like I might mess up in my maths, I might mess up in my literally anything, but I will always be a good person. So I was really annoyed when I got SJT band 2 in the exam. Last year, 2022, this would have been an okay score, but this year everyone was on a different level. The average was like 2700, and those were the scores that were being invited to interview. Obviously I didn't know that at the time, so as soon as I did my UCAT exam, I was upset about the SJT band 2, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't do awfully, like I'm really happy. And my UCAT score let me down in my application process, as I'm going to talk about throughout the video, which is why I do recommend that you do BMAT. So moving into entry requirements and grades. So I did the IB, it's the International Baccalaureate, if you don't know what that is. It's equivalent to A-levels, but a little bit harder. I don't really know why I did this to myself. If you already know that you want to do medicine from the start, there's literally no need doing IB, because you only need biology and chemistry. All universities ask for biology and chemistry. Or no, all universities ask for chemistry, and then they'll ask for chemistry and another science, which is usually biology. Some will literally state chemistry and biology. Some might not even state any science, they'll just say one science subject. Make sure you look up for your specific uni what the requirements are for the subjects. For me, for IB, they'll usually ask for 666, which is AAA, and then they'll ask for a 6 in chemistry. It's always going to be, they want you to get a 6 in chemistry because that's the only subject that they ask for, so you need that. For A-level, I think it's the same, like they'll ask for AAA, and then they will make sure that you need to have that A in chemistry. For King's, their entry requirements are a bit higher. They are 766, but the 7 can be in anything. You just need to make sure that you have a 7, and their offer is A star AA. And again, I think the A star can be in anything, but you just need to have that A star. So my predicted grades were 40 points overall, and it was 766 in my highest, 766 in my standards. I ended up getting 40 points, but completely different subjects. Like I ended up getting 776 in my highest, and I was 1 mark off that 7 in chemistry, so I could have had an A star in chemistry, so I could have got 777, and that would have been absolutely disgusting to say. Like I don't even think I would say it, because that makes me like, what? I'm not that smart. And then I got 765 in my standards because I flopped French. But it's French, so who cares? My predicted grades, they were great. They were enough to get me into med, and that's why I say make sure you are focusing in year 12. It is really important, because the grades you get into year 12 are what they base your predicted grades on, and that's how you get into uni. If you don't get the predicted grades, it doesn't matter what you get in the final exams, because you won't be getting invited to those interviews. So if you are in the position where your predicted grades aren't really where you need them to be, and your teachers aren't letting you change it, your teachers aren't doing anything to help you, you can still find medical schools where the entry requirements are slightly lower, so making sure that you were looking in great detail to make sure that the unis fit your application and that you're at an advantage with what you've got. So if your UCAT was really good and your grades not so much, then apply to those unis that look at UCAT and value UCAT a lot. And if it's the opposite, like your UCAT was low but your grades were really good, then apply to unis that look at grades first and foremost, that sort of thing. And also, even if like worst comes to worst, I would still recommend applying to one med uni. I don't know if this is a stupid advice to give or not, so like obviously talk to your teachers, don't take advice from me, but I would recommend still applying to just one med school, like just one, because even if you get to the very end of it and like next year for example, and you've just completed your A-levels and you have got the grades that you need and your UCAT was good, then you could get back in touch with that med school and be like, hey, I actually got these grades, I know you rejected me then, but blah blah blah. I applied to East Anglia, Nottingham, Leicester and Kiel. The reasons I applied for them was because, for example, with Nottingham and with Leicester, they combine UCAT but they also combine your GCSE grades and I think your predicted grades, and I was someone who got really good GCSE grades, so I was like, I'll apply to those because my UCAT wasn't that strong, so I'll still be able to like get high up in there. That didn't really work out too well. I got 4 rejections and I wasn't invited to interview anywhere because of my UCAT score. So that leads me to my next tip, which is picking unis where you will have like the best advantage of getting in. So you really need to sit down. Like, applying to med is not easy. You need to sit down, you need to rank your unis, rank it by what the entry requirements are, what your UCAT was, and then obviously then you can start thinking about which ones would I prefer to go to, but only after you've gone through, will my application be strong there, will I have a good chance? Genuinely, this was the hardest few months of my life when I was getting my rejections. The first uni that rejected me was East Anglia, and at this point I was like, I am not getting into uni. I am not getting into uni, because East Anglia was the uni that I applied for as like my safe option. Like, their entry requirements were the lowest of all the unis I applied for. So when I didn't get into that, I was so scared. And me and my best friend, bear in mind, we both got into King's College London as well, but we both got rejected from East Anglia on the same day. And I remember we just called each other and we were just crying. But at the end of the day, it wasn't that deep. And I'm just gonna say that rejection is not the end of your med journey. Like, it's really not. Take it from me. It does feel like it in the moment. And then I didn't hear anything for 3 months, and this was like the most annoying period, because everyone would be asking like, oh, have you heard back from your unis? And then all of your friends that applied for like regular courses are getting their offers in, and you're literally just looking around like, where is my offer? Where, not even my offer, where is my interview invite? Do you know what I mean? And then one day a bunch of people got into Nottingham, but I still hadn't gotten in and I still hadn't been rejected. And I was like, okay, at least I haven't been rejected, because hearing nothing is better than a rejection. But then I got rejected, and I got rejected from Leicester on the same day. Went home, was distraught, because Leicester and Nottingham were my top 2 unis that I applied for. I was distraught. I got rejected from Kiel quite late down the line, actually. I then applied for a backup course. Nottingham offered me the chance to apply for a backup course. So did East Anglia, actually. Ended up picking biochemistry with molecular medicine, but it just wasn't medicine. So I kind of knew in my heart that I wasn't going to do it, but I did want that backup just in case. So moving into interviews and interview preps. Interview prep for med is definitely something that you need to do. You can't just walk into it blindly, but honestly, it's a lot less scary and a lot less intense as like they're made out to be. Like, I remember stressing before my interviews, and they really weren't that bad. I mean, my King's one was much more scary. Like, I left that interview and I thought that I had flopped. Like, I genuinely thought I messed up completely, but I ended up getting my offer like literally a week later. That was great. And also with my Leicester one, I got my offer like 4 days later, so I was getting my offers quickly, and I was like, oh my god, it was really exciting. For King's, it was a panel interview. So panel interview is where it's you and 1 other person or 2 other people, and then MMI is where you'll have different stations, and every station will be with a new person, and you'll be doing like different tasks. I loved MMI. I did MMI with Leicester. It made it so much less scary. I felt like with King's, because I thought that I had messed up on like the second question, like the rest of the questions that they asked me, I was gone. Like, I literally didn't know what was going on. I had zoned out. I was panicking already. But with Leicester, all the MMIs, you had different tasks, different things. Like, you had role plays, you had questions, you had to like read an article or watch a video. Like, it was really good. Obviously, I can't talk about what was actually said, because you actually have to sign stuff that say you can't talk about it, which makes sense, because they don't want to like jeopardize the application process at all. My top tips for interview is literally just be yourself and don't stress out too much. And I know those are stupid and they're generic, but for me, I did a lot of interview prep. Like, I made flashcards and I wrote a lot of practice questions down. So there are loads of practice questions and loads of websites that I used. My school gave us a lot of free resources, but Medic Portal and Medic Mind, they have a lot of good like interview stuff and interview resources on there, so I definitely recommend you read them and check them out. And a lot of them will talk about specific unis and their sort of interview types, so read those as well. I made flashcards of a lot of like practice questions, and I didn't memorize them. Definitely don't memorize, because they'll be able to tell if you're just regurgitating something that you've memorized. But I did like make sure that I had a couple bullet points and I knew what I would say if they asked me each type of question. So for ethics questions, make sure you know the 4 ethical pillars: non-maleficence, beneficence, autonomy, justice. Make sure you know them. Also make sure you know things like get it competence, Fraser guidelines. Make sure you know those things, because they will help you in any ethics questions that they give you or any ethics scenario. And make sure you can talk about your skills in detail. If you've done work experience, make sure you can talk about what you learned from your work experience in detail. Make sure you have like a few examples, specific examples, and talk about what that specific example entailed. I don't know if you've heard of the STAR method. That's where you talk about the situation, the task, the action that you did, and then the results, the outcome, and then your reflection. But the STAR method is perfect if they ask you anything about your work experience or stuff like that. Literally for Leicester, a lot of the MMI tasks, you don't even need to have prepared to have done them, but preparing helps you like think of like light bulb things to say, do you know what I mean? Like if you can whip out the word multidisciplinary team, like, do you know what I mean? Also, NHS hot topics, they could ask you about any hot topic. They could ask you about climate change. They could ask you about the junior doctor strikes. The junior doctor strikes literally happened like 2 days before my interview. So they didn't ask me about it, but they really could have. And I was expecting them to, honestly. So learning those sort of hot topics and what they are, what's going on around them, how you feel about them. So the main thing about ethics questions or situational judgment or anything that they ask you is that the patient is at the forefront of everything. So if you can talk about how it will impact the patient, whether that's in a good way or a positive way, and talk about how you can ensure patient safety in this scenario, that is like what they want, do you know what I mean? So for example, if they ask you about what you think about the strikes, you could say literally anything you want about what you think about the strikes or what your true opinion is, but as long as you can link it back to how it's for the greater good of the patients, or it's for this, that and the other to do with the patients, then you're good. Again, like I said, I'll be offering a lot of personal statement help, UCAT help, interview help, things like that. Just message me on Instagram to find out more information to do with that, and I might even do another video on interview preps. Also, making sure that you have someone to do interview prep with is really good. So if you have a friend, a teacher, or for example with Medic Mentor, I did a few mock interview preps with the coaches that I had, so that was really great. But making sure you have someone to do your interview prep with is really good. So then I had to actually do my exams. Obviously I did my exams and I had my results day and everything all before I did my interviews. So exam season, if you've already got your offers and stuff, then like you already have your motivation to do well in your exams. But if you're like me and you literally have no motivation in life, you've just got rejections, you have no motivation, you can't see through the storm, you have no vision, then it is a little bit harder to, you know, stay on top of things and stay motivated to do really well in exams. But one thing I would just say is that, again, rejection is never the end. And if something is destined for you, like literally no one can take it from you, you will end up doing what you are like meant to do and what you want to do. It just might not be the right time. I don't know why God would do this for me. For me, chemistry was my weakest point. I had not gotten an A once in any mock exam that we had ever done, but I knew I was going to get an A in this exam. There was no way I couldn't. So I literally dedicated my whole life and soul and put it into revising for chemistry for my exams, even though at this point I wasn't even doing medicine, so I didn't even need the A in chemistry, because I was doing biochemistry and molecular medicine and I only needed a B for that. If you have got rejections for med and you're still determined to do it, just make sure you stay on top of all of your grades, because even if you do a gap year, like you'll still need the grades to get your unconditional offers and things like that. And then that led to results day, where we open our grades. But results day was a really good day, but for me, I just had to get on my Zoom, and I got on my Zoom. So if you're watching this and you had received 4 rejections, or if you, like, for example, initially applied to dentistry and now you want to apply to med, this is the part where you should like really tap in. This is where I really had to get to work. So on my results day, I sent out an email, and I'll kind of put like the draft of the email here. Basically, I was just like, hi, I'm Kato. This is my story. This is what I got in my UCAT. This is what my grades were. I would really love to go to your uni. I would really love to go to medicine, do medicine, blah, blah, blah. And I spoke a bit about why I would want to do medicine. But it was really short, like really short, because the admissions officers don't have time to read your entire personal statement. But at the bottom, I did say, but I can attach my personal statement if you want it. And then I attached like the certificates of my grades, both for GCSE and for IB. Then I emailed it to literally every uni. So first I emailed it to the unis that I had already applied to. I also called up the unis that I initially applied to talk to them about if they had any places or anything like that, because clearing starts on the 5th of July, which was the day before my results came out. But a lot of med unis don't even think about clearing until A-level results come out, so it's not an easy thing. But I still sent out the emails to everyone. I was ready, and this was all my mum's idea as well. And this is like honestly one of the best ideas. And also I went straight onto UCAT and I was looking through their clearing, and this is where I was shocked. I was really shocked. I saw King's College London, they were in clearing for medicine. So I had to apply through King's website, and then later that day they emailed me and they asked me for my UCAT score. I sent them that. They also asked for my certificates. I sent them that. They didn't ask my personal statement. A lot of unis don't really care about your personal statement. I think like a couple of days later, or even the day after, they invited me for interview, and I was like, what? Same with Leicester. So like I said, I sent out my bulk emails, and literally the same day I sent out the bulk email, Leicester sent me an email saying we were trying to contact you, but we have a few spaces and we're doing interviews for them on the 4th of August. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had 2 interviews. Guys, I had gone from nothing to 2 interviews in the space of like 48 hours. It was actually crazy. So then that leads me to the final thing. This isn't a tip or anything, but then you get your offer. With medicine, everything that you've done before this now literally doesn't matter. Your offer is given to you based on what you score in your interview, and I don't know how every uni specifically scores their interview. So your personal statement doesn't matter. Some unis don't even read your personal statement. I know most of the unis I apply to, they don't read your personal statement, but it might be a thing where you and someone else have got the exact same interview score, the exact same UCAT score, and now they have to read your personal statement. It might sound crazy, but it could happen, so that's why personal statements are important as well. So I ended up deciding to go to the University of Leicester, and everyone has found this so controversial because obviously King's College London is this really amazing prestigious uni. It's like one of the top unis in the United Kingdom, and so everyone just thought I was going to go to King's. Like, I got into King's, I'm going to go to King's, it's a no-brainer. But for me, Leicester was, first of all, Leicester's ranked higher than King's on like the medical school rankings right now. Leicester's even like ranked higher for medical research than Oxford before. Like, Leicester's a really, really good uni. And I think for me, I just felt more called to Leicester. I mean, I initially applied to Leicester in the first place because I liked the uni. It really was a hard decision. Like, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of vlogs, day in the lives, a lot of people comparing and talking about their experiences at both unis, TikToks even. Another thing that helped me decide was the fact that I actually live in London, and I've lived in, well, I don't live in London, but I live really close to London, and I work in London, and I went to dance school in London. Like, I've spent a lot of life in London, and I wanted to experience a new city, so I thought like going to Leicester would be really good for that. And I just feel like I'll really thrive in Leicester. I'll also really thrive in King's, and I'm so grateful for them, and they were really, really sweet. Like, everybody throughout the entire application process, even after I told them that I didn't want to go anymore, because I accepted their offer, because I got their offer before I'd even done my Leicester interview, so I didn't know how that would go. But even after I told them that I didn't want to do it, they were still really, really lovely. If you don't already live in London and you get a King's offer, go to it, because going to uni in London is great. It's really expensive. Everything fell into place and everything aligned, and now I'm going to Leicester in 3 weeks. So yeah, that is my entire journey of how I got into medicine from beginning to the end. I hope you liked it. I hope you took something from it if you want to apply to medicine. If you have any questions you want to ask me, you can ask in the comments, or you could DM me on Instagram. I'm at KatoValentina. On Instagram, also on TikTok, on everything, I'm at KatoValentina. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one where I'm going to be talking about UCAT stuff. Make sure to like and subscribe. Bye!